Hey guys, what's up? My name is Seb and welcome to the Jumpcast. Today everyone now is on leave or away or on holiday or something like that, and right now it's just me by myself. So it's a solo podcast. I've done one of these before, so I'm pretty happy with it. So let's carry on. The saying goes, if something's not broke, don't fix it, and I like that saying because it just means to me that okay, if there's something that's out there and you think it's good and you like it, then why would you want to make big changes to that universe or big changes to that game? With Halo, which I absolutely love playing, Halo Combat Evolved was a brilliant game and I absolutely loved it. Everyone loved it. But with Halo 2, if you were just going to keep it exactly the same and just expand the story, would it have had the continued audience where they go oh, it's just more of the same? What they did instead, they didn't just come out with Halo 2, they improved vehicles, they improved the gun controls, they changed the guns up, they changed the feel a little bit of the game, but not too much, only just enough to make it a really good sequel. And that goes without saying with a lot of games. There's a lot of games out there that do that, and there are some games that come out with sequels and you're like, well, I don't think you improved it enough, or I think you improved it too much to really change what that game world actually felt like. Well, Planet Coaster is coming out, and I'm really excited about it. But it's Planet Coaster 2, and it's done a big announcement with water slides, and I don't know if the gameplay trailer has actually been revealed yet, because I'm going to be very fair with you, this podcast is recorded pre-hand, so I haven't actually just recorded it today and then brought it out today. This is recorded 3 days ago, so the stuff I'm saying in this podcast, I don't know if the gameplay trailer has actually been out, because it didn't actually show a time on the trailer when they announced it. So they could have brought it out by now, or they might not have. I would know about it because I'm doing this 3 days beforehand. But I'm hoping it's out, and I'm hoping it's everything that I want it to be, which would be really cool. And I think that they'll hit it right in the park, considering of their track record, because not only have they released Planet Coaster, they've also done Planet Zoo, which is basically replacing roller coasters with wild animals, and you get to build a whole entire zoo, which is great. I love that. They've also done Jurassic World Evolution and Jurassic World Evolution 2. I think it was a Jurassic World Evolution came out in 2018, and Jurassic World Evolution 2 came out in 2021. So those games, they've absolutely aced those games. Those games are brilliant. So yeah, they've done Jurassic World, they've done Planet Zoo, which are just awesome games. Planet Zoo, by the way, came out in 2019. So they really smacked it out the park. They've completely owned this field. And now with Planet Coaster 2 coming out with the water slides, they own the big three: roller coasters, zoos, and water parks. They've covered it all. Well done. They are now the company that I think it was Roller Coaster Tycoon at one point was the company that did those major three things. Now it's Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster and Planet Water Slides, whatever you like to call it. They own this thing. Frontier are owning it. Frontier Development are now the core company that you have to be, or you have to base off. Now, let's talk about other roller coaster games. So, Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, as I was already talking about that in the first place. Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 was an awesome game. It had its predecessors of Roller Coaster 2 and Roller Coaster, the very first original game. But I think it was Roller Coaster 3 was kind of the main standard of what a roller coaster game could be. They had water parks in it, and it was brilliant. They you could build it by hand. You could do what you like with the roller coasters. It was awesome, but it was kind of set in this locked-in universe where, everything was kind of 3D, but, the build mechanics, the tools, the equipments, the game needed to update the feel of the game. It was great, but yeah, I'm just going to say it was a great game. If you play the game, it's an absolutely great game. But Planet Coaster came out, and I think it came out, 10 years later, because Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 Platinum came out in 2006, and then Planet Coaster itself came out in, I can't remember the date. I think it was 2016. So, yeah, Planet Coaster came out in 2016. And between both of those games, you got this kind of it took what Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 had and just kind of made it better, but it didn't include water slides. So it was just it was a major roller coaster game, and it really gave you loads of different styles of how that game looked and how that game feels. And it was under the control of these really awesome creators that would just be this is what we think a theme park game should be, and they went with it, and that was it. They came out with that. They versed Roller Coaster Tycoon, and they won. And I think it was Roller Coaster Tycoon came out with a Roller Coaster Tycoon world, and I remember that game. I remember looking at that game, just seeing what that game offered. I think I played that game at one point, I don't think it. It didn't hit. It didn't hit. There was lots of similarities in looks wise, but it didn't quite hit what Planet Coaster was doing. As much as it looked cool, there were limitations, and it just didn't quite hit those areas. So some of the mechanics in the game weren't as perfect, weren't as good as what the whole of Planet Coaster was doing. So everyone kind of went from Roller Coaster Tycoon World to Planet Coaster. I don't even know what the development team is on that game. I think it went through a few developers before that game came out. I can't remember that full story. Yeah. So everyone kind of abandoned Roller Coaster Tycoon and jumped onto Planet Coaster, and it just owned that scenario. And I don't think anything is coming close to beating it very soon. However, I will mention that there is a game that is called Park Beyond. Park Beyond came out last year, and it did the one thing that I didn't think any game tried to attempt to this point. They really tried to innovate of what a theme park game could and should be. Now, they did this by just going completely unrealistic and doing random things, making random coasters do a lot of random stuff. And I'm not going to say it's a bad game, because it's a very good game. And it definitely goes in that direction of, let's do something different that Planet Coaster isn't doing. Some of the build mechanics, some of the how you build things is very different. But did it live up to the standards of really making you feel like a theme park game? I think it did, but I don't think people enjoyed it or liked it enough. It didn't feel as real, and I think that's what these Planet Coaster builders want. They kind of want to be able to build a real version of what they want to build, which is basically, let's see how real we can get with a Planet Coaster game. Can we invent theme parks that you could build in real life? I think that's kind of what the direction was with Planet Coaster, whereas they'll base things off actual roller coasters that actually exist. And even with the trailer, when you see the water slides inside the new trailer, you go, yeah, no, those things are real. Those things actually exist in real life. They are redesigning already made and created parks. Whereas where it's Park Beyond, you're creating things that I'm not 100% sure if everything in that game, like, there's a lot of things in that game where I look in and go like, yeah, some of that stuff could exist, but there are some stuff that obviously wouldn't. Like a roller coaster going throughout a town or a city, it just doesn't feel real in some areas. I'm not going to say it's absolutely terrible, because there's a lot of good things about that game, but on the good stuff, I do look at it and go, yeah, it does feel a little bit like they're doing something similar to what Planet Coaster was doing. So like, I look at some of the stuff that's real and go like, okay, that looks like Planet Coaster, and the other stuff goes like, okay, some of that stuff wouldn't, looks cool, but it wouldn't happen in Planet Coaster. And I feel like, okay, are they just using Planet Coaster as a baseline? And I think yes. And I think, well, yeah, okay, that's kind of cool, but is it really, like, is it really inventive enough? Is it really doing something different? And I think that it's not really doing a major stuff different. It is kind of like using that baseline and then making their own version of it. And I was like, I don't think it's the... As much as I love it, I don't think it's the right direction. And as gamers, you kind of always want to support the right direction, but especially when it comes to a passionate area of theme park creating games. So yeah, Park Beyond, great. Is it inventive? Is it the right direction? Is it the place we want to support theme parks games going? The direction of theme park game that we want them to go in? No, I don't think so. I think Planet Coaster is still the direction that we want things to happen. Unless there's a game that really innovates it, I don't think a game's going to be able to verse it. However, that shouldn't ever stop the direction of making different types of unique theme park games. For example, there's a game out called Parkitect, and Parkitect is an absolutely excellent and beautiful game. I absolutely love Parkitect, and it's nothing like Planet Coaster. There are different things that you can do in that game, like you can build rides, and there is roller coasters in Parkitect. So yes, it does its own thing, and it likes to be its own thing. And you know what? As a supportive, of what I am when it comes to me playing theme park games, I think that Parkitect is definitely the direction of what I like in a theme park game. I think Parkitect is definitely the direction I like in a theme park game when it comes to being different. They include, I think they include multiplayer into it. Do they include multiplayer? Yeah, it's online cooperative, so you can you build a park with your friends. You can pretty much create it how you feel, but everything's unique. The style is unique. It's not Planet Coaster. There's not that creativity style as Planet Coaster does it, but it creates its own creativity style, and I like that. They're trying to be different, and it works. They're trying to give you a different option of style when it comes to theme park creating games. And to be honest with you, it does bring back that style of the game I used to love, which was theme park. It brings that type of creativity back to what I like and love, and they do it in a very nice style. So if you miss things like theme park, you're gonna find that Parkitect is probably the most modern version of that style of gameplay, and they do also knock that game out of the park. They make it brilliantly. So to be fair, when it comes to like up-to-date games, I think Parkitect is up there with Planet Coaster, because they both have their own styles. One does one thing, one does another. They don't keep it the same, but they're both as good as each other. I think Planet Coaster is definitely better in an opinion, but I can't compare that because they are both different. They do want to both be theme park games, but they're very, well, Parkitect is very, very designed-wise to really be like, no, we don't want it to be Planet Coaster. We want to be different. And, unlike things like Park Beyond, where it's very much like, oh yeah, no, we're trying to be this game, and you see the path builds and you see some of the images on that, and you're like, yeah, but it feels like you are trying to be it. Whereas Parkitect is very much like, no, we're definitely not trying to be it. We're creating our own brand new style, and we're not even going to try to go that direction. Which is great, because it makes it feel like its own unique world, and I love it, and yeah. So that's kind of the basis I want to put forward into this. There's like, you've got Parkitect, which is trying to be a different style. You've got Park Beyond, where even if they are trying to be a different style, they're not really communicating that well with the way they build things, with the images you see. It just like, from a point of view, it just feels like they're using Planet Coaster as a baseline. And then, of course, you've got Roller Coaster Tycoon versus Planet Coaster, and those two games are very, very different in speech. Like, that one was one age, and Planet Coaster took that, scrapped it out the park, and then made their own version of what they think a roller coaster game could be. And I wonder what would come next after Planet Coaster, because right now we're getting Planet Coaster 2, and I think that's also going to knock out the park. They own roller coasters, water parks, and zoos. I mean, where else can they go with this? There's a lot of places, and they can really make these games better. Like, for example, like, what do you want to see in a Planet Coaster 2 game? We'll probably get to that a bit more near the end of the podcast, but at the moment, yeah, that's kind of where I want to base that checkpoint or that chapter. Let's just go and talk about some other games that have actually tried to do exactly, well, no, like, created sequels. Some that have worked and some that haven't worked, or at least in my opinion anyway. So let's go with the game. What was it called? Let's go with City Skylines. Got City Skylines loaded up on the side. City Skylines, by the way, is first and foremost an amazing game, and I absolutely love it. It lets you build a city, design it, build roads, and it just makes a city. It brings a city to life, and it's a really good game, and it really does a good job at doing it. That game came out in 2015, by the way, so that's an. It wasn't even, well, actually, it's 9 years ago, so that's not too bad. But yeah, it's City Skylines. Lovely game. Build a city, all that kind of stuff. City Skylines 2, which came out, what was it? When did City Skylines 2 come out? City Skylines 2 came out last year. And as much as I like it and go like, okay, yeah, what they've done there in that game, they've improved and made loads of differences compared to the original City Skylines. Have they made enough differences? Have they made enough differences to make people go like, oh yeah, this is City Skylines, but just better? And it's like, yeah, it is, but is it enough? Is there enough differences? Like, if they've just changed one or two things and really made it better in a sense of everyone's gonna think, oh yeah, this is a completely different thing. Have they shown off enough? Have they done enough differences? Yeah, maybe the roads are different and the traffic's a difference, and the city feels different, but like, is that really a game changer? Is that like, it's like, if things are too similar, then like, is it enough difference? That's my opinion on that. I don't know. When it comes to things like Payday 2 versus Payday 3, Payday 3 could have smashed it out the park. Payday 3 could have really smashed it and really made a difference and brought everybody to Payday 3. But the difference between Payday 2 and Payday 3 is, without a doubt, if I have to go into things and just go like, okay, Payday 2 came out in 2013, and then Payday 3 came out in 2023. From everything I see, I do love Payday 3. I love the design. I love what they've done with the levels. But there are some things that, like, obviously, it didn't hit well with an audience. That's probably because of the amount of levels it came out with, the length of time between both games, and, did it really offer that much choice between how you pull off a heist? These are the things you got to consider. Like, what it did is it came out with this lovely heist game, and gave you a set number of levels, but like it felt like Payday 2 was pumping them out like another level, another level, another level, another add-on, another add-on, another add-on. And then the Payday 3 just came out and it was like, okay, here's 8 levels. And we haven't heard that much from them. We've heard a bit from them here and there, but like we haven't heard a full amount. We haven't heard like everything from them. Like I feel like there's still more stuff to come of that game before that starts getting like positive stuff around it. But like at the moment, it feels like it's really based around a few levels. And there are a set number of ways you can complete them. Whereas it felt like, I don't know, Payday 2 at the time just felt like it just had a way more stuff going for it. Now, I'll say this. I am a fan of Payday 3 just because I absolutely love it. I love what they've done with that game. I love where it is right now. And I love the fact that they are coming out with more add-ons and all that kind of stuff. But just because of there's so many more levels in Payday 2, I can probably see why there's going to be a lot of people playing Payday 2 over Payday 3 when that game launched. I don't know where everyone is right now, whether they're Payday 3 supporters or Payday 2 supporters, but I think I'm definitely on the Payday 3 side. And I think they made enough improvements to make me like it. I feel like they should have added more maps in at the launch, but like, you get what you're given. I think the perfect example of what I like to see a sequel be is the difference between Assassin's Creed 1 and Assassin's Creed 2. At the time when Assassin's Creed came out, they came out with this lovely, beautiful game, but it felt very much, I wouldn't say it's like the perfect game. It was a perfect start for a franchise. And it did this game, it came out, they did what they could with it at the time, because you have to imagine that Assassin's Creed did come out around in like 2008 at the time, and you look at that game, you go, okay, came out in 2008, 2007, 2008 kind of time, and you can climb walls, you can climb buildings, you can go around these maps. Maps are massive, and there's loads of content, there's lots of story, lots of voice design, lots of graphics in it. What really can you do with that? And I feel like they came out with a game that was a very good basis of like a very good jumping around thing. And but what they had to do with Assassin's Creed 2, they really had to change up. They really had to give it more story content. Really had to improve different parts of the gameplay. And for me, I think they did it in the right direction, where they really just went, you know what, okay, here's the game, we've released the game, it's exactly what we want the game to be. Assassin's Creed 2, here you go. And they did that. They improved the story like loads. But they kept lots of the original core design, like the jumping around, all that kind of stuff. They kept that in it, and then they improved certain other parts. Like, for example, you'll have tools to climb a bit higher in certain areas. You'd have tools like double assassinations and all that kind of stuff. And then I like that. I think that was great in a video game. I think that's enough improvements. And I think when we break it down and we come back to Planet Coaster versus Planet Coaster 2, I think one of the things that I think they're really going to do to that game, because we've seen it in the trailer with the water parks, is are they going to be inventive enough to really take that game to the next level, to invent enough stuff to make the map, even make the map bigger or better, and give more design to it, but not just the design, but like really make those game changes that we're gonna love Planet Coaster 2 way more than we're gonna love Planet Coaster 1. If you have to take my guess, I think it's a yes. I absolutely think it's an absolute yes. I think Planet Coaster 2 has a big game changer in it, and I think that's going to be water parks. But if I had to say, what would you like to see in Planet Coaster 2? What would be your opinion? What would you like to see in a game? Because in Planet Coaster 2, what's your opinion? First off, would you like a zoo pack? Would you like to see the Planet Zoo combined with Planet Coaster? Would that be a positive impact or a negative impact? You tell me. Personally, I really don't want those games to mix up. I can see why some people would want that, but I feel like at that point, are you adding too much into a park? I also can see a benefit. You could, and here's just a could, you could potentially, in that type of game, make a theme park that is very much like a safari park, and then at the end of the safari journey, and you've gone through all the zoo animals, then you could come to the theme park at the end, and there'd be a few rides there. It would give you a different style of the park design, whereas maybe like a Planet Coaster could be like, okay, here's a big massive park, you get to redesign and make it whatever you like, and then you got these rides and stuff. Whereas a Planet Zoo thing could be like, okay, we're just gonna build a mini park on the side and make it more of a zoo type theme. That could also be quite interesting. On top of that, we have how much water park expansions do you want? Because we know with Planet Coaster, they came out with lots of different updates for lots of different roller coasters. If you're not quite sure, I will just name some that I've known and seen. So, for example, you've had things like the Ghostbuster pack, the Film Studio pack, the I think the Vintage World and Fair Bundle pack. They came out with all these different packs, and you could really see what they've added into this game. And there was the Halloween pack and all that kind of stuff. There are lots of things, lots and lots of different things that they just added to that game just to make it better and better. Some you could buy, some you didn't have to worry so much about buying, because I think they were just added into the game. I can't remember which ones they were, but yeah. I'm thinking, like, okay, what are they going to do with water? Are they going to come out with extra water park packs in the future? Are they just going to stop at what they got? Are they going to come out with what they've got so far? Or are they going to literally, what the heck is that on the side? So, for example, are they going to come out with just water park packs, or are they going to add in different things like water parks add-ons? Are they going to come up with horror water theme slides, all that kind of stuff? I mean, what could they do to it? They could probably create loads of water park expansions based on the water park that they're coming out with at the beginning of the launch. And how many roller coasters are we going to get on launch date? Are we going to have to buy different roller coaster packs? Are we going to flock towards that game? Are they going to make that game massive? I think the one big thing that's going to really help with that game is if they make the map bigger immediately. If the map is massive, we're going to absolutely love that game. Now, I don't know if we've seen the gameplay trailer, and I'm hoping we have. I imagine that they'll probably go like, oh yeah, it's a bigger map. I imagine that's just an obvious update. And the last thing, it has to be, I imagine that they're going to go workshop content. I think the one thing that helps that game compared to every other theme park game out there is the amount of stuff they got on the workshop. If it's shareable, if your work is shareable, I think it's going to hit out there. Now, I went onto the website and I did discover a few things that they have mentioned about that game, and I will just put them down in the thing. First off, with glistening swimming pools and thrilling rides. They are going to come out with swimming pools and thrilling rides. I like the fact that they're confirming that. They're officially going, yeah, the major part about this is swimming pools and thrilling rides. Awesome. I love that. One thing that I did notice was team up with friends in sandbox and franchise mode to build on a shared save across platform. I'm not quite sure how that continues on to be, but basically what it does mention on the website is team up with your friends in sandbox mode. Go on sandbox mode and create whatever you want to create with your friends as a team up. How awesome is that? I don't quite sure. I'm not sure if I don't think we did get a team up mode. I haven't played the game Up Planet Coaster in a while, but I like the fact that how does that mean? Does that mean the game's cooperative? Is it online cooperative? I don't know. Is it what are we talking about here? Planet Coaster 2 could be online cooperative. In fact, if you go onto the game itself, it actually does say online cooperative, whereas the previous game doesn't have that as a tag. So yeah, that's that generally feels like that's a thing. They're going to be putting online co-op mode as well as water slides. Those are two excellent things. And also it says flex your management muscles with new and enhanced tools. So we know there are going to be new enhanced tools in this game. We know there's going to be a team up with your friends on this game, and we know they're going to be talking about swimming pools. So those are three major things that I absolutely love reading off the website, going, okay, these things are really going to be tick boxes when we play the game. Now, I think after all that, I think I'm pretty much done. I think I've spoken enough. I think I'm running out of my voice. So I'm going to pause it right there and just end the podcast. So thank you so much for listening in. We have a comment section underneath this on YouTube. So if you do want to mention anything, like, for example, like what your thoughts are, what you want to... what you want in the game itself, please mention it down, because I really like to hear your thoughts. But yeah, at the end of the day, two things I'm really excited about this game for. Why I think this game is going to be a game changer, where it's going to knock it out the park, whereas City Skylines and didn't quite do, in my opinion. And I think the strongest points are it's going to add an addition of swimming pools, which I think is absolutely amazing. And on top of that, I think they're going to include, well, we know they're going to include team-ups, where you're going to be able to team up with friends in a sandbox mode. I think these two things are going to be real game changers, and that's only the beginning, and that's why we're all going to love this game. You're going to be able to roller coaster theme park with your friends as long as you don't argue with them. But yeah, a few things, these little tiny little nuggets of changes, plus probably a bigger map, I think are just going to be game changers on this particular game. So there you go right there. Thank you so much for listening in. That is the podcast right there. We are working on a number of stuff in the background, and I can't wait to share them with you. But that is the podcast right there. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time on another Jump Inside podcast. Goodbye.